Hello, my name is Kat. Welcome to your soul journey reading for the year 2016. Now, I'm recording these readings at the end of February, leading up to spring, a symbol of new beginnings in the cycle of nature. So there's no fixed time for how long these messages will resonate. That really depends on your own individual experiences and challenges and how you meet them. So do come back and listen to these as often as you need to. But I will be recording further readings throughout the year to provide further guidance as your year develops and unfolds. So this soul journey reading is basically focusing on your life path and your soul's purpose in assisting you in discovering your soul's agenda in the journey of your life. I'm hoping that by highlighting this specific path can provide you with some guidance with regards to any specific challenges or lessons that need to be overcome. And living your life with this deeper sense of purpose can bring a deeper meaning to everything that you do and the decisions that you make, which will hopefully enable you to realize your higher self and reach your full potential. Hello, Virgos. Welcome to your soul journey reading for the year 2016. Now, the card which represents where you are currently in your spiritual development is the Sun. And this is a very powerful and uplifting card, a symbol of health and vitality, and it basically indicates happy times, usually following a dark period in your life or a period of challenges and difficulties, and it's basically indicating that the sun will shine again. Now, this card is going to be read as a signifier for the rest of your reading, and the cards are going to highlight various challenges or obstacles that you need to overcome in order to master this lesson and reach this specific state of being where you're radiating the energy of this card. And this basically indicates that once you've learnt those lessons, you're going to feel like you've stepped out of this difficult period that some of you may feel that you're going through, where life will no longer feel like a challenge that needs to be overcome, and will start to feel again as if you're back to your old self and that life is an experience that is to be enjoyed. Now, the card that comes up in your first position is basically representing the area of your being in which this life lesson is being played out and how. And for this, you got the Two of Pentacles. So this is pointing towards practical security and material concerns, health, luck, money, and indicates also the area of solid work. Now, the Two of Pentacle represents, for some of you, may be pointing towards two potential paths where there needs to be a decision or a choice to be made. It signals usually a change related to your work or home environment or your income. And it's highlighting the need to create a sense of balance with all those aspects that you feel that you're juggling right now. The various sort of aspects of life and riding the waves, the up and downs of life. And it's indicating a need to be flexible and to go with the flow and basically try and let go and see where the current takes you. Now, it seems like some of you may have gone through some sort of deep loss or difficulty or quite a severe challenge recently that literally shook your entire being. And this is obviously going to have had a big impact on your journey and the way that you're approaching this current lesson with regards to building your foundation in your work and home life. In the obstacle position, as in the main unconscious obstacles to you mastering this lesson, you got the 10 of Pentacles, which is usually a sign of wealth and prosperity and a very positive card. And the fact that that's in your obstacle position makes me think that perhaps you've allowed work to take over too much at the cost of other areas of your life. And I'm feeling that whatever loss this represents for some of you was something that really shook you to your core. Perhaps the loss of a loved one or some sort of devastating experience that you've had to endure. And you've basically reacted to this by throwing yourself in your work, which is understandable, but this is basically highlighting the need to use the energy of the Two of Pentacles and try and create that balance where you're sort of aware that perhaps there's been too much negation of how you're feeling and repression and pushing down of those emotions in order to keep moving through this time that's feeling very difficult. And this is basically telling you to, take the time to slow down, to be with yourself and allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. And it's only through those feelings coming up and allowing yourself to feel them that you're able to heal and let go. I mean, sometimes if it symbolizes a deep, severe loss of a loved one, it might never be possible to fully move on. But it's really about finding a way to integrate that experience in your life and recognize that it's that pain sometimes breaks your heart open, and that you need to allow yourself to feel in order to grow and move forward. In the position of your hopes and fears, you have the Knight of Swords. So this is, very much linking to the archetype of the warrior, and this is indicating the need to not give up. Things may seem really difficult right now. You may have been through some really challenging time, but this is telling you to keep going, don't give up, keep battling on. You will get through this. Things will start to get better and look up. This card really turns up the Ten of Swords when you're at rock bottom. And although that seems depressing, it is actually a sign that whatever's happened has happened, and it's now that experience is over, and things are going to start looking up. It can only get better from here. In the position of how you can overcome this obstacle, again, you've got the Nine of Wands, which is again indicating someone that's just survived a battle or some kind of negative experience or something really that has thrown them off course. And you can see this man is sort of holding onto his wand cautiously. He's not really trusting that this awful situation has ended and is sort of prepared for any other hurdles that may come his way. But I think, yeah, I mean, the nines represent basically a completion. So whatever it is that you're going through, this is signifying that that is now over. And don't surrender, don't give up. It might feel like there's some difficult last hurdles to push through, and that's basically your final step, and you've got to push through it. And whatever comes your way, you are going to see it through, perhaps with a potential delay, but you will get through it. Now, I find it helpful to relate the cards to the major arcana. So I've pulled out the cards that relate to those numbers. And interestingly, you got the Wheel of Fortune as a 10, which is related to the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Swords. So that's 3 tens, and you've got 19, which adds up to 10, and all of those numbers can be counted down to the number 1, which is really about new beginnings and letting go of the old, and looking forward to a new start. And it's really highlighting the cycle of life that you're currently experiencing, that sometimes things happen in life that aren't in our control, and the idea is really to survive it, and what matters is how you tackle it, and your perspective on the situation, and that very much is going to affect the lessons that you learn from that experience, and those experiences basically are an opportunity to grow, and find a new strength, and to open your heart, and allow something new to manifest in your life. The Wheel of Fortune is ruled by Jupiter, which is all about expansion and good fortune. And it's really, if you can look at it as the circle, as in the circle of life and returning to the beginning. But it's also about carrying previous experiences with you in that movement. So it's all about transition, movement, and change, and it's highlighting the rises and falls that we experience in life that's indicated by this ship. You can see in the background riding the waves. And nines are basically about completion, whereas tens are not completion, basically because they combine the completion with this sense of a new beginning. So it's about the replacement of the old with the new. It's a time of closure. 1 is a new beginning, 0 is emptiness, nothingness. So whatever you've experienced or faced, or whatever you're facing currently, or whatever obligations that you're feeling, that these cards make me feel are in the area of your work, perhaps self-imposed, because you've had to throw yourself into your work to get through this time. But they also could indicate there's a potential difficult character at work, someone in a position of authority who perhaps is quite overbearing, and you feel like is taking over your life and not leaving you time for anything else. So this basically is telling me that there's some sort of need for a decision, a new path. You need to consider whether the way that you're working right now is building the foundations that will lead to a future that makes you happy. Is your work going to fulfill you in the long term? Are you able to continue in the way that you are? Is this what you really want? And this is what the cards are basically asking you. The card that number 9 relates to in the Major Arcana is the Hermit. So this is basically talking about a need to withdraw and go within. You see this old man, wise old man, walking in the darkness, and this bright shining star is leading the way. And it's a really beautiful card, but it's about going within and taking the time to assess the experiences that you've had that perhaps have knocked you off your path, and assess the lessons from those, and basically pull those together to help you decide your new direction. Those difficulties have highlighted perhaps areas in your life in which you're not happy, and they force you to take an honest look at yourself and your life and where you're going and the choices that you've made, and to question, am I happy where I am? Is this where I wanted to be? Is this how I want to continue moving forward? So basically, from this experience of going within and stepping away and analyzing where you are in your life, through these lessons, you learn to live more consciously. You begin, not even with trying, it was just from the experiences you've been through, you're sort of thrown into this conscious level of awareness, where you're questioning everything in your life, and you've sort of stepped out of this dark complexity when you've completed this cycle, and it's kind of going to feel like you've recaptured your childhood innocence. You can see the child at the center of this card, which is very much linked to the child archetype in Jung psychology, and it's about recapturing that lost spontaneity of our childhoods, of our natural selves, and rediscover that inner harmony that we felt as children. And you're going to see life from a new perspective, as it's highlighting this journey where you basically start off in life with a sort of ego trip, really, where it's a necessary stage of development that a lot of us go through, at least in our Western culture, where we feel we have to achieve and tick all these boxes that society expects of us, and work and finding the right partner and settling down and a home and a mortgage and all these pressures. And you may have reached a point, this card is telling me that you've reached a point of success in this material sense, where you've achieved everything you thought that you wanted. But having got there, having achieved those things, and perhaps triggered also by this serious loss that you've gone through, which has made you reevaluate everything that you thought was important to you. This is basically going to trigger this new rebirth, this new sense of self and level of conscious awareness, where you realize that the things that were motivating you before have perhaps taken you down the wrong path, and perhaps led you away from your true nature, from your authentic self. So this is very much about going back to a state of living more consciously, and healing that state of alienation that is imposed by our society, and reaching a point where you're embracing this sense of psychic wholeness and expressing that in every aspect of your being, both consciously and unconsciously, and both that in inner and outer self are going to feel like they're working together. And again, the state is not one that's easily achieved, and we usually arrive at this point over following many challenges and regressions, and it's basically as the knight, which is depicting a teenager or a young adult energy, and it really is about that psychological development, at least in the Western understanding of a movement from that infancy to maturity, and that experience of inner unity is basically going to transform you completely and transform your relationships and your whole perspective on life. And it's these moments that we basically feel that we're relating more consciously to ourselves and where we are on our path, and you're going to feel like you know where you're going, like things are fun, and you've recaptured that enjoyment and that spontaneous self that is within you, that you feel for a while now that has been missing. Now, when you've mastered this lesson, the next stage in your development, you got the Empress. Now, this is an Earth card, so this is definitely representing you as a Virgo, and it's the planet Venus as well. Symbol of fertility, ideas, and creation. So this is pointing towards bringing an idea into fruition. It points towards action and creation. I forgot to pull out the card that relates to the number 2, which is interesting, the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is number 2 in the sense of inspiration, where number 1 is the magician and the seed, the original idea is manifested, and number 2 is that inspiration, and 3 is really symbolizing the next stage through this movement of letting go of the old and the lessons that you've learned, and reaching that sense of completion in that old cycle, and going inwards and looking in yourself and reassessing what you want, and what path and what choices you're going to make, and which direction you're going to move forward in, leads you to that sense of completion that then basically gives birth to this new cycle where you're creating something new. And it's really about pure potential that has been recognized through this stage of inspiration and seeding, and bringing that potential into reality, and channeling it into something real that is basically going to be a more authentic combination of different aspects of your life, whether that's home or work or in your relationships. It's going to feel like you're creating something that's on the right path, that you're on the right track, and something that is in line with your soul's true purpose and agenda. And it's basically saying that you've reached a stage of completion where you've chosen the path you're going to take, and you're going to embark on that new path. And wow, Virgos, it looks like you've been through a lot, so take heart. You really will get through this if you haven't already, and good times are coming again. You really will feel your old self again. That sense of enjoyment will return, so take heart. Thank you very much, Virgos, and I hope to see you soon.